first of all, I talked about the Coaches Association. What is that really?
Yeah, the association's a group that just really helps us as coaches grow, helps support us as coaches, provides us with a number of things, some salary information, some health benefit information. It helps us with some jobs when we're out of work, but most of all, it allows us to kind of give back, and they form these coaching clinics, and we do 2 or 3 a year, and we bring in some guest coaches over the year. I know Paul has been to China. I think some other coaches have gone to Finland. They're in Czech a couple weeks ago. And what it allows us to do is kind of give back and help young coaches grow as we did when we were young coaches. And as an NHL coach, or as any coach, you always have to be willing to learn and willing to have an open mind to take in more information. I think any good NHL coach will tell you that. And so we always want to make sure we're helping our young coaches grow, and we're helping grow the game. And the National Hockey League Coaches Association certainly gives us an avenue to do that. So before I get into PK, I just want to show you a video quickly about the NHL Coaches Association. Hopefully it'll show you some of our passion, some of the emotion that goes into the game, and you can kind of hear in their voice the love of the game and why they do it. A lot of these guys never thought they'd coach in the NHL, but here they are, and their passion and their love for the game is the reason why they are in the NHL. So I'll let this shoot.
Behind the Leaf bench, there's Burns, and Burns is trying to get down at Melrose. If you want to play that way, you're going to have to go through me too.
The great part about it is the juice. It's a stressful job. It's a tough job.
Take each shift at a time and chip away.
Enough is enough. Start playing with some jam in here. Let's go.
It's all-consuming. It's not for everybody.
It's really exciting. Every day is invigorating.
It's a job that I've dreamed about.
Most of all, it's about being around the players.
They want you to help them get better. That's your job. There is no roadmap to success in coaching. There's an automatic divide between coaches and players. The key is closing that divide.
The biggest thing is the ability to communicate.
It's building relationships. It's pushing them outside their comfort zone.
It's managing the high highs and the low lows.
It can't feel like a job.
Here we go. Push it here. It's coming.
Screen that goalie on that shot.
I never really did know I wanted to coach in the NHL. I had no intention of coaching.
I didn't know I was going to coach in the NHL. I don't take one day of it for granted. Every day, get up and try to make myself a better coach.
Just when you think you've got something, the game changes.
So you got to continue to learn.
And the day you stop doing that is probably the day you get left behind.
And that's the fire that makes this job exciting.
Coaching, none of us get there alone. We experience all the emotions that the players do.
The biggest thrill I get out of it is watching someone or watching a team get better out of your direction.
It's fun to watch them achieve success.
Those are bonds as coaches that really last a lifetime.
We are so fortunate to be doing what we're doing.
How lucky am I to do this?
It's the best job in the world.
Hopefully I'll give you a little bit of an idea to what goes behind coaching, and it's more than just the X's and O's. As you can see, it's the love and the passion, the emotion that goes into it. I have a 12-year-old son at home, and when he does well and I'm helping him coach, I get those same feelings and those same emotions too. You're just so excited to watch people succeed and be able to be a part of that and to help them succeed. You'll notice when they did my introduction, there wasn't a whole lot of stats. When they did Paul's introduction, they went on and on about scoring goals and 100-point seasons, and mine was real short, and there's a reason for that. He does the power play, there's a reason for that, and I do the PK. So not a lot of stats in my career, but I was able to play a lot of PK, and hopefully I can share some of my thoughts with you on what makes a penalty kill successful. A couple of the keys to the penalty kill, some of the stuff that you probably heard about before, I'm sure, but I'll go over it anyways. I'll keep it quick on this stuff. Short shifts, energy, obviously multiple changes so you can keep that energy up. Up ice pressure, I love it, but in my little 1-3 world, which I like to play, I don't want to give up any structure, and on control we want structure, and I like to play a 1-3, and the reason for it, there's really 2 reasons for it in my mind. One, you challenge at the blue line. That 1-3 allows you to challenge at the blue line to make entries hard. And secondly, I like to play an aggressive structure inside the zone. And the reason for that is your best players in the world are playing on the power play. I want the puck out of their hands, and I want to make them rush plays. So hopefully I'll be able to illustrate that in my presentation. The pressure we're able to put at the blue line, and then the pressure we're able to put on these elite players inside the zone by playing with some pace, playing with some energy, and getting the puck out of their hands. One thing that's overlooked at times, and I'll just go over this quickly, is penalty kill faceoffs. I think it's absolutely critical. Paul's going to talk about faceoffs later on today, but in the PK, it's critical. If you can get that puck down and waste 25 or 30 seconds on them doing a breakout, it's key. Some of the clears, a weak side clear or a strong side clear, a drop wing. We saw Tampa Bay use it last night. If any of you were at the game when they were killing the penalty, they dropped that winger down into the corner, and the D just kind of bumps it over to him. A lot of times it's an easy clear. And then losses. What are we doing on losses? You'll see, I'll illustrate a standard pressure, I'll illustrate an inside pressure, and then the triggers off of losses as well, meaning the pressure. So this is an illustration of a weak side clear, and one of the keys you'll see here, just the bumps you need on faceoffs to give yourself some time to make sure that you are able to clear. That's key. Doesn't look like much, but it's key, okay? Because it allows that defenseman a little bit of extra time, and now he's got an extra 5 feet to make sure he can clear that puck. Okay, next example, strong side clear again. Key, the bump on the faceoffs to give this guy a little bit of time to get that puck down the ice. Okay, again, it doesn't seem like much, but it's critical in a faceoff. Off losses. Okay, this is an example of a standard pressure where we're having the centerman go out at the strong side or the board side defenseman, and the winger just coming over here and taking time and space away from this defenseman or getting in the shooting lane. You use standard pressure a lot of times to take away the one-timer. If it's a quick bang-bang one-timer, this guy can get in the lane. And then you start your pressure off that, and you get your triggers off of that. Another example of a standard pressure, this one turns out pretty well. Again, out to the strong side point there, and again, this guy's out of one-timer, so if he looks over, he knows he's getting pressure right away off of, to take away that, any idea of a one-timer, okay? And the other option, this one turns into a little bit of a breakaway, the other option is inside pressure. So if we want to start our pressure in the system that we played in San Jose that I like to play, you know, I want pressure, I want to put some heat on these guys and on these defensemen. So inside pressure just allows that inside winger to get out, get around and put pressure on this D, and you start with what I'll call my top-down pressure. And I'll go into that a little bit later, but this is an example of inside pressure. Again, you're taking away any kind of play over here first, and then you're taking them down and trying to keep the puck on one half of the ice. Again, a huge part of penalty kill, again, off of face-offs, what you're doing off of face-offs, you know, you have all kinds of keys to trigger. You know, one of them is face-offs, loose pucks. Pucks are people with your back to you. And the important part, you probably talk about it all the time as coaches, I know I do. I get players at the NHL level that come in and they're checking with their sticks up by their waist, or they're checking with their sticks up by their shoulders. The key, a huge part of penalty kill is getting stick on puck and using your sticks to take away passing lanes, to take away options. So here you can just see, as we roll here, there's a loose puck. You got one guy, that's Justin Braun, I believe. Great stick there, pressuring. Logan Couture coming in, great stick, pressuring. And then we get the clear off of that, we get the trigger off of that. Key. Up ice pressure, I love it. I love up ice pressure. I want to make sure, oops, before we get into that. But I don't want to ever give up my structure. So F1, up ice pressure on loose pucks. F2, you got to stay above. You got to stay above. I don't want to get one. I don't want to get one guy caught, let alone two guys caught. But work, once you finish that pressure, work to get back into that 1-3 structure, and I'll show you why in a little bit. Gap and re-gap, I'll go over that, and again, the stand and the support and the sticks, what you're doing with them on the way on your stand. This is just an example of Montreal, and I love this clip because of the pressure and how they keep staying above, they keep staying above. And what I mean by that is F1 is pressuring, but he's staying above his check. F2 comes in and he's staying above everything. He's kind of reading, reacting to what's going on. And Carolina can never really get in a good flow. They can never really get set up. And they just kind of cycle through and keep staying above and keep working and keep putting the pressure on. But on top of that, they never really lose their structure, because after the pressure, they get a quick change. And then, sorry, now they're right back into their 1-3 structure off of that. So they always stand above and always skating. And a great example of that back in the 90s was Kirk Maltby and Chris Draper. They were unbelievable at it. They just kept coming. They just kept coming, and they kept the power play on their heels the whole time as they'd up ice pressure, and they did it great. So that's the look. That's the look of my 1-3, or the 1-3 we played in San Jose. So 1-3, and this would be, there's only a couple details I want to share with you on this 1-3, and there's a couple things that we do differently, whether they come in on the forward side, and the forward's always lining up on the bench side to make changes easier, and I'll go over it a little bit if they come in on the D side. But when they come in on the forward side, that's forward side entry, I want this forward to hard stand. I want to put all kinds of pressure on those stands and make it really hard to get in on the blue line. And I'll show you why in a little bit. Because if he stands and he forces a bad pass, that D is coming over, if he's getting help from F1 coming over, and then the second D obviously taking anything in the middle. And hopefully these next clips can help illustrate that. And if you got any questions along the way here, guys, don't hesitate to interrupt me and throw something out. I'm happy to answer any questions on language or body position or whatever it is. So this is a look at forward side entries on the 1-3 and some of the keys for F1. Influence the puck to one side. If entry on forward side, you're helping with that stand, recovering to the middle of the ice. If entry on the D side, which we'll go over in a little bit, pressure at the blue line. The key to the 1-3, guys, is that F1 can never be too far away from your stand from your other 3 guys. If there's a big gap between 1 and 3, then there's all kinds of space there, and power plays like Paul's will rip it apart, and they'll just go east-west on you, and it'll be an easy entry. So F1 being close to the 3 guys is key, and you'll see why. So we always want pressure. Angling is important, obviously. Here we got Tommy Hurdle angling and putting some pressure on the Jersey power play breakout to disrupt their breakout. But again, here we go. Okay, so this is getting into our structure and into our 1-3. This is Timo Meier, who's an F1. And a lot of times, stop it. You'll see that gap there, or you'll see the drop play, which Paul talked about a lot yesterday. You see this breakout all the time at the NHL level, all the time. And what it's supposed to do is provide speed coming up the ice and get the PKers on their heels. So they're facing all kinds of speed coming at you. And what we're telling our guys is we want guys to, when they see that drop, don't just stop and back up. We want you to stop, re-gap, gain 4 or 5 feet of ice so you can provide that resistance at the blue line. Okay? The key is resistance at the blue line. Not 10 feet in front of the blue line, not 10 feet past the blue line. We want the resistance at the blue line, okay? And so you can close off that time and that space. So again, you can see our F1, he re-gaps a little bit. He buys himself a little bit of ice on that drop play. Okay, and there's your stand. Forward on the bench side, that seam, this is what I'm talking about. That F1's got to be close to the rest of your people, or else that seam is real hard to close off. And you got speed and you got skill coming at you. If anybody watched that game last night, Point, Kucherov, Stamkos, you get those guys, you give them 2 feet, 2 or 3 feet, and they light up. And any forward, any skilled forward will tell you, as soon as they get past that blue line, that's when it's like, oh boy, now I can start to create, now I can start to really do what I want to do. And that's why I believe in the pressure and making it really hard to get in and not giving them that opportunity to gain the blue line. I want all kinds of pressure at that blue line to make it really hard on these skill guys. Because once they get over that blue, they start to light up and they start making plays, and pucks go east-west and players go east-west, and they create all kinds of good stuff. So again, key, making that stand at the blue line and closing off that seam, you guys working together. Again, you can see that hard stand right here at the blue from the forward. Okay, you can see it again here. This one's a little bit higher, but F1 supporting it, coming across and cutting off any kind of seam plays and taking away that ice at the blue line. In San Jose, I think we were, over the last 2 years, you know, we get all kinds of stats and analytics. We were top 5 for sure in the last 2 years in D-zone entries on the penalty kill. And it was because of the pressure we were able to put on at the blue line. And here's another example. I think this one illustrates it pretty well. And you're going to be watching Thomas Hertl right here. Again, there's your structure. There's your 1-3 structure. Okay, there's not a lot of separation between F1 and the 3. Okay, and there's Tommy again. Not a lot of space between these guys. Closing off that seam and helping with any seam or any plays in through the area between the D and the forward, or the forward and the guy on the wall. F2 keys. If you're a stand guy, if you're a forward guy, you're always lining up on the bench side. Whoops, sorry. If entry on your side, again, I want a hard stand. Yeah, I want to make it as hard as possible. What Paul talked about the other day, those kickouts, meaning those plays, that player that's coming through the dot, he wants to kick it out to the wall. I want to make that hard. Okay? If it gets past you, if it's going past you, good players, it's going to happen. Good players, and you'll see it in the video coming up here. If it gets past you, the D's coming across to help pressure, and then you're starting your top-down pressure. Example of F2 stand. There he is right here. Okay, again, not a great look for the power play because he is on the wall. Makes it a little bit easier for the stand, but again, this guy's making it real hard for any entry. The neutral zone quickly getting back into your structure. Again, you can see F1 gaining some ice. 4 or 5 feet is key. Again, another example of the stand. Okay, there's your drop. There's F1 gaining a little bit of ice, so he's not backing up too far. Okay, again, close support, not too far away from each other. Makes it real hard to get in there. Last one, this one gets by him now. Okay, this is key as well. There's your F2. They attack that forward side. Again, putting all kinds of pressure and making it hard to kick out. They do anyways, which happens not all the time, but happens a lot. Hopefully it doesn't, but it does happen. And now what's F2 doing off of that kick out? He's starting his top-down pressure and putting some heat on. Again, with the help of the D coming across to help out as well. There's pressure, and the other 2 guys got the middle of the ice. D side entry, little bit of a tweak on the D side entry. There were times when we would hard stand that D, and what would happen is this D would be at the blue line, this D would come across, and now you got 2 defensemen outside the dots, and that always leads to trouble. Always leads to trouble. So we made a little bit of an adjustment on that. I still want resistance at the blue. Okay, I want this defenseman to meet the rush at the blue line. But he's not hard standing. He's backing off a little bit more so we can still create some pressure at the blue and make it hard. And with the help of F1 coming across, if they get past him, he's starting to back up, and then F1 will provide that top-down pressure coming through. So again, just the detail there of D2. We don't want 2D outside the dots. Just leads to all kinds of shitstorm happening. We want to make sure this guy's not outside the dots, so he recovers to the middle. F2 recovers to the middle. D accepts the rush, but again, I want some resistance at the blue line. I want to take a swipe at him. I want to make it hard to get in. Some examples. Okay. Sorry, I missed something here. I'm going to go back just for a second. We're going to talk about the keys to the middle D1, I would call him. He's the kind of the safety valve back there. He's going to help on seam plays, obviously. pressure the puck here on the wall if it enters on the forward side. But again, if it enters on the D side, you're helping with those seam plays. So this is more of a focus on what's going on with this guy in the middle of the ice, what D1 is doing. Again, not giving up the blue line, taking a swipe at him, and putting pressure at the blue. There's our focus here, D1. Again, we're able to get some pressure at the blue. We take a swipe at him, and then we're coming down, pressure, and again we get D1 is in the middle of the ice. He's never outside the dots. He's protecting that middle ice where everybody wants to get to. And then off of any kind of triggers, pucks on the wall, rim pucks, backs to pucks, we're going. Okay, and you talk about the drop pass. Calgary does it as well as anybody. You have Goudreau and Monahan. Again, there's F1, holding ground, gaining 4 or 5 feet of ice, so he can make some pressure and create that pressure at the blue line right in here. Again, he's helping out with any kind of stuff that's going on in the seam. Then it gets past you, there's our top down, there's our middle ice, and we get it out. Okay, so now we'll talk about the D2 and on the entry on the D side. Again, accept the rush at the blue line, making that kick out hard. It's critical. You're not backing off and you're not doing it too early. It's right around the blue line. Okay? Any kind of puck that gets past you, you can pressure it moving down the half wall. Here's Brent Burns. You know, they enter on the D side. There's our structure, our 1-3 structure. Okay? He's not hard standing, but in this case, he gets a little swipe at it and he's able to clear. And I want that pressure there. And he's got support with F1 and his D partner. There's your drop. Okay? Again, there's some pressure at the blue. Good look here with the support from the forward. Again, here's your drop pass. D2 gains 4 or 5 feet of ice. I can't emphasize that enough, because if you don't, you're standing still or you're making your pressure 5 or 6 feet inside the blue line. Doesn't work. So there's your swipe. Okay, he still does the kick out. They did a great job with the power play. That's what Paul talked about the other day. You're coming through the dots, which is key. You're coming through with speed, which is key. Really hard to prevent that kick out, but they do it. Immediately, he's taking off and he's putting pressure on this half wall guy right there. Okay, we got support through the middle here. We got our other forward. We got our other forward helping out in the middle in case they're thinking about going cross ice or through the seam to the weak D. And then we start our triggers. Okay, in zone, I'll go over this quickly. Is there any questions on what we're doing up ice? Hopefully I was clear enough on it. Again, to me, the key is putting pressure at the blue line. I don't want to give good players easy access into the zone. All right? Top-down pressure. Not everybody does this. A lot of guys sit back and are happy to kind of take away the middle of the ice and take away the inside seams. I think the top-down pressure really provides a lot of pace, a lot of energy to your penalty kill. And again, the whole key is getting the puck out of the best forwards usually play the half wall on the power play. And the idea here is to try and get it out of their hands or force them into making plays that they don't want to make. All right? So this is kind of what it looks like on the sheet. Again, any questions, don't be afraid to interrupt me and fire away. But this is kind of what it looks like. Okay, they get in, they're on entry, and we're starting our top-down pressure here where this is Tommy Hertl. And the key is we want to try and keep the puck on the same side of the ice. So he's coming down, he's going down, and he's pressuring that half wall, and it's going to get by. Great players make those plays all the time. Okay, we want stick on puck, we want body on puck, we talk about all those little details, but it's still going to get by, and this is the look, this is what happens when it does get by. Okay? Our guy in the middle, okay, he's playing not lower than the hash marks. Now he's ready to start that top-down pressure again, and this guy's coming through the middle to take that space in the middle of the ice. Again, there's your pressure, okay, taking away time and space, trying to keep the puck on the same side of the ice. Okay, again, he's in that seam, our D's at the dot, and we get the clear. Again, top-down pressure, stick on puck clear. Let's hold it for a sec. In this case, there's going to be things you give up, but on the PK, if you know what you're giving up, it makes it a little bit easier. Okay, so your goalie knows what's coming, players know what's coming, so it's almost scripted as to what shots you're potentially giving up. And in this system, this is what you're going to give up. You're going to give up what we call a sifter, or a shot from that D right there. And the key is keeping it on the same side of the ice, but the other key is this D right here, getting over and getting in the shooting lane so he can start to front some pucks. And that's an important detail. Because when he looks up, he doesn't see an avenue to the net, and he's getting rushed by this guy. Again, top-down pressure, we push it to the same side, we get a good stick, and we get it clear. Okay, top down again. This time they go to the goal line. Whoop. And kind of what it looks like at the goal line if they go down. Our D, that front D is taking the back door. Okay, our goalie's got any kind of goal line jam. This D is immediately pressuring, and we're getting help from this guy in what we call the Stafford play or the pop play. Okay, that's the look we would have. Again, your triggers, dumps, entries, any kind of bobble pucks we're going. And just an example of some triggers here. Because we like to play aggressive, we want pace, we want energy, we want to make it extremely hard for these guys to make any kind of play. Backs to puck, good stick, puck's on the wall, we're going. There's your top-down pressure. They make the seam anyways, but again, because they're rushed, we're forcing them into making bad passes. Now another bobbled puck, we got good stick, we're putting pressure on them. Again, back to puck, we're putting pressure on them, we want to go. Back to puck, bobbled pucks. And you eventually get the clear. Again, you can see his route. His route's not straight at this guy, and that's the key. We want to make sure we're going top down so we keep that puck on the same side of the ice. Okay, that starts your pressure, top down, bobbled puck, and make it through. Again, we start our top down. These guys are going to make plays, but when you're forcing them to make plays under pressure, forcing them to make plays that they don't want to make, good things happen. Now, when Paul did his presentation the other day, you were talking about how you're defending the Ovechkin. And I don't have any examples of just defending Ovechkin, but I have similar examples that I wanted to show you guys. And this is kind of what you'd be susceptible to in our penalty kill, or what we would ask our guys to do. Okay, in this case, I think this is McKinnon. Gosh, who's potentially be the best player in the league in my eyes right now, between him and McDavid. And he's every bit as dangerous. You know, Ovechkin's got that shot over there, obviously, but this guy's as dangerous over there as Ovechkin is. Okay, but they make the play to the top. The key to this guy in the top-down pressure is to not to let that pass through. Sorry. Is to not let that pass through. But again, it's going to happen. Good players making good plays. Okay. Now, sorry. What we would tell our guys, okay, we would, again, doing that top-down, forcing the puck on one side of the ice, stick out to prevent any kind of play over here. And this does a couple of things. Yeah, he's going to make that play at times. You got Carlson up there on the Capitals power play that's going to make plays through you, over you. But when you're coming out and you've got a good stick, and the idea is to keep it on that side of the ice, okay, you're forcing this guy to make a play quicker, and you're forcing this guy to come out higher, which he really doesn't want to do. He wants to be right in that wheelhouse right there, kind of top of the circles where he's just teeing him up. Okay? We want this guy to move and force him out higher and have to go for pucks a little bit higher, where your shooting percentage or your shooting area goes down. And again, that's what you're giving up potentially, okay? Because you're not in the shooting lane, but you have these guys fronting pucks in the shooting lane. You're allowing that D to kind of sift it through or give up that wrister from there. And we're willing to give that up to prevent, you know, bombs from this area over here. Again, pressure, over, okay? Same thing's gonna happen here. Look where he is. Instead of down here, he's moving up because he can't get any pucks over here. Now he's moving up and trying to get find some time and space over there. Same thing. Another one, this is an example of Anaheim. This is Getzlaf this time. He's the key to their power play. We want to keep it out of his hands. Okay, they make that, and that's what a lot of good players will do. They use the wall. So we want to make that hard. Again, keeping it on the same side of the ice. Again, they make the pass through, but it's in an area where we're okay with because it's not tape to tape, and we're forcing Getzlaf to come out near the blue line to get to that puck. And then you start your pressure from there, your top-down pressure. And again, here you go with goal line play. We want our D, pressure that. We got our middle guy to take any kind of play away from what we would call the pop play or the Stafford play. And our net front D's got the back door or the back half of the net. If this guy wants to step out, goalie, you got him. Pressure's on the goalie for the goal line jam. That's where we put some heat on our goalies on that one. Okay, and then just an example of, again, there's your top down. And I just wanted to emphasize, again, this is the shot we're potentially giving up. So this guy's got to get right back into that, into the house, into home plate, into this area here where you can block any shots or front any shots. Or by simply being there, maybe he's not shooting the puck. Maybe this guy decides to pass instead. Allow recovery. Okay, there's your Stafford or your pop play where our middle guy's helping out with. Okay, again, they go down the goal line. Decent job by Carlson here to get up to the dot. That's where we want him. They go to the goal line, and we're giving that one to our goalie. And this guy's taking half ice, or the back half of the net. Okay, that's it for clips, you guys. Again, the reason why I like it, pressure at the blue line. I think it's critical, especially in today's game. Good players are too damn good now. They can make plays in small areas, and if you deny them the blue line, it's going to be a world of help for you. And again, pressure in the zone, I think, is key. Getting good players to make plays that they don't want to make. Taking away, again, you've always heard it, time, taking away space. But this pressure allows you to do it. I'm not saying it doesn't, you're not going to give up chances. You are going to give up chances. But hopefully they're chances that you're ready for, that your goalie's ready for, because they know what to expect and where the puck's coming from. Okay, so if you got any questions, feel free to shoot it out. Let me know if there's anything that's unclear.
If the pass goes over to Ovechkin, or
yeah,
like Olofsson yesterday on the right side,
yeah,
how do you want your D to act?
So in that case, it's a good question. In that case, we understand our top-down pressure, but we're going to leave that net front guy a little bit earlier, and our D is going to get out to him a little bit earlier. That weak side D is going to try and get out and get in that shooting lane. So one, we're trying to force him high, but two, we would make an adjustment in the Ovechkin case to get that guy away from the net and get him a little bit closer to Ovechkin and try and deny that shot.
I did it yesterday on Olofsson there, but he jumped out and
yeah, he blocked that one, didn't he? Yeah.
He came really close to it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the key. You know, if you're able to get that close, he's not going to want to take that shot. You know, he feels that kind of pressure. That's it? One? Yeah.
What's your take on left-handed, right-handed players concerning the penalty for D-men specifically?
Well, as far as defensemen go, I think a left-righty is huge. If you can have, just for the simple fact of clearing the pucks. I want left-right out there as much as possible. I think it's hard for a lefty to be playing the right side. Oftentimes he ends up on his backhand, going for pucks in the corner. So if he can get there on his forehand and fire one off the wall, fire one off the glass, I think it's critical. And the same thing. The thing is in our system, if it's a forward, you know, because of the top down, you're playing both positions, you're moving, you're exchanging all the time, so it's not as, but on the D side, I would say way more critical than the forward side to get lefties, righties out there and have them play their strong side. I like lefties playing left, I like righties playing right.
What kind of strategies did you guys talking about using this system? If the puck carrier, the half wall guy, escapes below the hash marks but is still above the goal line, which can be a hard read for the forward, is he still gonna always go, or like what's the conversation?
No, we're asking him to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're asking him to go. I want to keep that pressure on there, and then at a certain point you know, I think you got to give some players the ability to kind of read and react. That D is going to come over and help out as well, and it's usually right around the goal line where now he's making a play back out top. So, but we're asking our forward to keep going. As I think in any kind of pre-scout that you do, you know when forwards stop. Like, we can do a pre-scout and say, hey, he's stopping at the hash marks. We know he's going to stop at the hash marks, so just bring it down a little bit, and then you're going to have some relief. Yeah. So we're asking him to keep going. And then your route, if you're following me here, I got it in my head. I'm not sure you can picture it in your head. Your route is, you know, if they do make that play back out to the D, which these guys are going to do, that's part of the reason why they're going down, right? You're coming back, you're not turning towards the wall, you'll have to turn and get back to the middle of the ice, and then the other guy's starting his top down. But we're asking him to go and keep that pressure alive.
How would you change your strategies if you were playing on big ice? Because this is
that's a good question, and you know, I worked with Pete DeBoer the last couple of years, and Pete's a great PK guy, and that's kind of his baby. And I asked him that question because I've never really coached on the big ice before, and I asked him if he thought this system could work. He said he would use it in a heartbeat. He's coached world championships and world juniors, and he thinks it can work on the wider ice. So I haven't seen it. I haven't coached it. I coached it, you know, at the NHL level. I think it works. American level, I think it works. But maybe one of you guys can be a guinea pig and give it a shot on the wider ice. I just think that resistance at the blue line is key. That's where it's going to be hard. They get a little bit more room on the wide side, right? Coming in at the blue lines and coming in at the dots. That's going to be tough. Yeah?
How do you adapt if the half wall guys like strong side hammer?
No. You know, if there's a default on that top-down pressure, if there's a default, we want them to take away the pass to the middle of the ice and keep the puck coming up the wall. You know what I mean? So we don't want a guy coming down and having his stick along the wall and opening up all the middle of the ice. Because a lot of times those players are going to make it. If we're going to allow anything, we're going to make it go up the wall where that D's got to come all the way over to the wall to pick it up, and then we can start again. So that would be the default. A lot of good hockey players and good defensive players will read that. They'll give you this, and then they'll kind of take away over here as well. But if you're unsure, keep your stick on puck, protect the middle of the ice, and deny any passes into the middle. Because if you think about power plays, does everybody know what the bumper is? Right? When you use the bumper, that middle guy, it relieves so much pressure on the penalty kill, or on the power play, because they use that bumper, and what does he do with the puck? Goes bumper right back out to the point or to the weak side, and now your penalty kill is kind of forced to get back into their structure instead of pressure. And I think by not allowing plays into the middle of the ice, you can keep your pressure alive. Does that answer your question? Yeah. So in that case, you know, lefties, righties, I'm not sure it matters as far as, you know, we're not really telling our guys to do anything different other than, you know, if you're allowing anything, make it go up the wall, or we can, again, we're controlling the situation. We're not letting them control the situation.
So Rob, what do you see in the future for penalty killing? Kind of the evolution to kind of try to imagine what's ahead of us?
Yeah, I don't know. I just think a passive box, like, I see it. I just think guys are too skilled. They shoot the puck too well to be able to give them that kind of time. And God bless them, we got penalty killers that are out there blocking shots and taking one-timers in the knees and the hips and hopefully nowhere but there. But, you know, if we can, I just think the pressure, I think that's where it's going. I think if you look at San Jose right now, they're still doing it that way, and I think they're #1 in the league right now with their PK. So, you know, power play is always trying to make adjustments, and believe me, it's not perfect. You know, you still get. I'm able to show you a bunch of clips that are, you know, kind of illustrating what I want to illustrate, and they work and they look good. But at times, you know, your players mess up, your players go to the wrong area, and you get exposed. And there's no question. But if everybody knows what's going on, then your chance for success goes up. But I think the pressure is where it's going. I really do. Yep. Oh, sorry. Did you have a question, sir? No?
How much do you work on the PK roughly when you were in San Jose? And is it mostly in components, or is it mostly against your own power play?
No, well, it's against your own power play for the most part. I'd say during training camp, you have dedicated time for penalty kill, at least 3 or 4 sessions where you're going over. If I tell a guy we're going 1-3, everybody kind of knows what that 1-3 looks like, but then I think you got to get into some of the finer details. Your positioning on the 1-3. What does F1 really look like, and where does he really need to be? And in zone, some of the finer details in zone, stick position, what we're trying to take away. So there's 3 or 4 times during training camp that we would just say, we'd pile everybody up along the blue line, and it would literally be like, the first one for sure would be a walkthrough. It'd be a refresher. Because you always have 1 or 2 new players, and we'd go through a lot of the detail of the PK. And then as the season went on, power play, we practiced a lot of power play. And then, you know, just through that, we'd practice our penalty kill as well. And we'd always practice our penalty kill, our power play against our penalty kill, just so we could get those kind of reps.
You have anything 3-on-5?
What's that?
3-on-5?
The only thing 3-on-5, I didn't go over that here. I didn't know if I'd have enough time. I really like that top forward, to play high.
2 forwards or 1D or?
Personnel. To me, I don't have a real hard preference. The only thing about that is, you know, defensemen are used to getting in front of those shots and blocking those one-timers. So a lot of times in San Jose, we had Vlasic, and we had Marc-Edouard Vlasic and Justin Braun. So those 2 guys were elite penalty killers. So we'd go 1 and 2, 1 forward and 2D most of the time. But I would want that, if you can picture in my head here, I'd want this forward, again, if it's whatever kind of setup they're in, if it's, you know, flank, here, and whether it's a goal line or they have another guy in the middle, whatever it is, a lot of times you're trying to set up these kinds of shots. Okay? So what I'd want to do is get this guy a little bit higher, or if they're set up in a box, and call it a box in 1, I'd want this guy to get out at least to the top of the circles, okay, to force these D out a little bit more, and then I'd bring my D, if this guy's got the puck, he's out, and he's back in a little bit more. If it does get wide, what I want to do again is try and keep the puck on half ice as much as possible. As soon as, you know, Paul talked about it, the rural road, as soon as it starts going east-west and you're getting seam back and forth, that's when it gets really hard. So that forward high, to me, is key. Trying to keep that puck on the same side of the ice.
Paul yesterday talked about the structure, but also about the skills in the power play. Can be the same in the PK. I mean, you have the structure, but can you have skilled players?
Oh yeah, yeah.
What do they have?
You know what's interesting? Your skilled players, they love to kill penalties. A lot of them. They take a lot of pride in it. In fact, you know, they're dangerous. They can be dangerous. You know, as far as scoring shorthanded goals, and that's a threat out there. Power play feels it when you have one of your top players out there, whether it's Braden Point or Mitch Marner, going out there to kill penalties. It's now you're kind of, oh boy, if I mess up, this guy's going on offense. But a lot of times your top players, they know what people are looking for offensively, so they can make those kind of reads, they can make those kind of shut down. And then, you know, we were fortunate, we had a guy like Logan Couture who's not fast, but among the best in angling and putting people into positions that they don't want to be in, just from simply good angling and good stick position. So, you know, I get it. I think everybody's got to have a role, and they feel good about that role, but when you can get some of your top players out there killing penalties, and you know, you got to manage minutes and everything, there's a lot that kind of goes into it, but there's a pride factor that comes into killing penalties, and a lot of guys love to do it. A lot of your top players love to do it.
If you're putting your first PK together, what are you going to be looking for? I mean, lefty, right, and all that kind of
Good
stuff.
face-off guy, first of all. Yeah, that's key. Anytime, oftentimes we had a guy, Joe Pavelski, and we had to manage his minutes because we relied on him so much, but we'd put him out there for a face-off, and as soon as he'd win the face-off, he's coming off the ice, just so we could kind of keep his minutes down. But a good face-off guy is huge. It's key. If you can get that puck that clear, that's 20, 30 seconds off the clock, and that's a big deal. And then after that, guys that are willing to block shots, the guys that are willing to pay the price.
Blocking shots, how do you do that? I mean, that's something that developed. I mean, you look at it here.
Well, you see, yeah, what I'm seeing a lot of defensemen doing now, especially when they're coming up to this dot, is they're going down and they're going into that one knee area just to kind of take up a lot of time, a lot of space. Some of the best defensemen, and it's a little bit of a detail. If you're the guy shooting, you just can't be like this. I think you got to turn a little bit to get your skates and get your body, make yourself a little bit bigger. Good players, when they see this, they'll go through legs, they'll go through sticks, they'll go through everything. So if you can turn a little bit and try and make yourself a little bit bigger, that's key. But a lot of, a lot of D that are going out, and in our system, we don't block a lot of shots out high because of our top-down pressure. That's something we're willing to give up to allow that pressure. But a lot of D are starting to go down on one knee where they can recover quickly again and take away that time, that space. You'll see that when you're facing players like McKinnon and Ovechkin. A lot of D just kind of turn their head and hope for the best. Anything else, guys? Well, we've enjoyed the hospitality. We've enjoyed the facilities. Your weather kind of sucks lately, but we've had a hell of a time. We've really enjoyed it, and hopefully you're getting something out of these clinics. And thank you for having me today. Appreciate it.
Thank you.